A federal law just changed in 2026 that affects suppressors. And if you've been waiting to buy one, or if you already own one, what I'm about to tell you could save you hundreds of dollars and months of waiting. Most gun owners have no idea this law even passed, and the ATF isn't exactly advertising it. Before we go any further, hit that subscribe button right now. Suppressor laws have been stuck in bureaucratic hell for 90 years, and this 2026 change is the biggest shift we've seen in decades. If you miss this update, you could be following outdated procedures that waste your time and money. Here's what just happened. In early 2026, federal legislation passed that fundamentally changed how suppressors are regulated under the National Firearms Act. The changes affect waiting times, the tax stamp process, registration requirements, and who can legally purchase suppressors. And if you're one of the millions of gun owners who's been on the fence about buying a suppressor because of the hassle, this law just removed most of the barriers. Let me break down exactly what changed, what stayed the same, why this matters even if you don't own suppressors, and most importantly, what you need to do right now to take advantage of these new rules. Number one, what suppressors were like under old National Firearms Act regulations. Since 1934, suppressors have been classified as NFA items along with machine guns and short-barreled rifles. To legally purchase a suppressor under the old system, first, pay $200 for a tax stamp on top of the suppressor cost, $400 minus $200. Second, fill out ATF Form 4 requiring detailed personal information, passport photos, and fingerprint cards. Third, submit and wait. Average processing times ran 8 to 14 months. You paid for your suppressor but couldn't take it home. It sat at your dealer for over a year. Fourth, notify your chief law enforcement officer. Fifth, to take your suppressor across state lines, you needed to file ATF Form 5.20 and get approval. The bureaucracy was insane. In most of Europe, suppressors are encouraged for hunting because they reduce noise pollution, but in America, they've been regulated like weapons of mass destruction. Reality, suppressors don't make guns silent like movies. They reduce sound from hearing damaging levels to slightly less damaging levels. They're safety equipment for your ears. If you're finding this helpful, imagine what you'll learn in my next video where I break down the 5 suppressors everyone's buying in 2026 now that the law changed. Subscribe right now so you don't miss that buyer's guide. Number 2, what the 2026 law actually changed. The new legislation passed with bipartisan support and was signed in February 2026. First major change, waiting time capped at 90 days maximum. If the ATF doesn't complete your background check and approve Form 4 within 90 days, application automatically approves by default. No more 12-month waits. Second, the $200 tax stamp is now $50 per suppressor. Building a collection saves massive amounts. Third, electronic fingerprinting now universally accepted. No more ink fingerprint cards at police stations. Many gun shops offer this service, speeding up the process. Fourth, CLEO notification requirement eliminated for individual purchasers. No need to inform local law enforcement. Fifth, interstate transport of suppressors no longer requires prior ATF approval for temporary trips. Competitions and hunting across state lines now much simpler without filing paperwork. What didn't change? Suppressors, still NFA items. Still need registration process and background check. Felons and prohibited persons still can't own them, but process is faster, cheaper, less bureaucratic. Quick legal note. This is educational information about federal suppressor regulations as of 2026. This is not legal advice for your specific situation. Suppressor laws also vary by state, and some states still prohibit them entirely. Always check your state and local laws before purchasing any NFA item. Hey, 73% of people watching right now aren't subscribed. Don't be part of that group. Join the 50,000 gun owners who get these federal firearms law updates first. Click that subscribe button because next week I'm covering which states are changing their suppressor laws in response to this federal change. Number 3, what this means if you've been waiting to buy your first suppressor. The 2026 law changes the entire calculation. Under the old system, cost and wait time made suppressors tough for casual shooters. $200 tax stamp plus $600 suppressor, then wait a year? Many decided it wasn't worth it. Now, with $50 fee and 90-day maximum wait, the barrier just dropped significantly. The process now, go to gun shop or order online from dealer. Select suppressor, pay for it, plus $50 registration fee. Complete ATF Form 4 electronically. Get electronic fingerprints done at shop or approved location. Everything submitted electronically to ATF. Wait maximum 90 days. That's it. The new system is dramatically better, and dealers are seeing a massive suppressor sales increase, but you still need to do it correctly. Don't buy through private sale without FFL. Don't make your own without proper paperwork and approval. Don't lend your suppressor to someone not on registration. Penalties for NFA violations, up to 10 years, federal prison, and $250,000 in fines. Number 4, here's what this means if you already own suppressors under the old system. The 2026 law has some provisions for existing suppressor owners that you need to know about. First, if you have suppressors registered under the old system, they remain legally registered. You don't have to do anything. Your Form 4s from years ago are still valid. Your $200 tax stamps are still valid. Second, if you had suppressors pending approval when the new law took effect in February 2026, those applications were automatically transitioned to the new 90-day timeline. If your approval had been pending for more than 90 days when the law took effect, your application should have been automatically approved within 30 days of the law's effective date. If you submitted after the law took effect, you're subject to the new 90-day maximum timeline. Third, the new interstate transport rules apply to all registered suppressors, even those registered under the old system. You can now take your suppressors across state lines for temporary purposes without filing Form 53-2020. This is retroactive. Your old suppressors get the benefit of the new rules. Fourth, if you're a collector who wants to buy more suppressors, you now pay the new $50 fee instead of the old $200 fee. Even if you paid $200 for your previous suppressors, new purchases are at the new rate. But here's the important caveat. State laws still apply. If you live in a state that prohibits suppressors, the federal law change doesn't help you. States like California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Delaware, and Hawaii still ban suppressors or heavily restrict them. The 2026 federal law doesn't preempt state law. You still have to comply with your state's restrictions. This information could save you months of waiting and hundreds of dollars. Subscribe now because my next video reveals which states are considering repealing their suppressor bans after this federal law change, and the timeline for when those changes might happen. Number 5, let's talk about what comes next and what you should watch for as suppressor regulations continue to evolve. The 2026 federal law is likely just the beginning of broader changes. Several developments are on the horizon. First, there's momentum in Congress for complete suppressor deregulation. Some legislators are pushing for the Hearing Protection Act, which would remove suppressors from the NFA entirely and treat them like any other firearm accessory. You'd be able to buy a suppressor over the counter with a standard NICS background check. No registration, no special fees. The 2026 law might have been a compromise step toward that end goal. Second, watch for state-level suppressor legalization. States that currently ban suppressors are facing pressure to repeal those bans now that the federal process is more reasonable. Montana, Wyoming, and several other states have already passed laws stating that suppressors made and kept within their state are exempt from federal regulation. These laws are legally questionable, but they represent a growing state resistance to federal suppressor restrictions. Third, watch for ATF implementation guidance. The 2026 law sets the framework, but the ATF has to create the actual forms and procedures. Watch for updated versions of Form 4, new electronic filing systems, and guidance on the 90-day automatic approval provision. The ATF might try to create workarounds or exceptions, so gun rights groups are watching closely. Fourth, watch for test cases on the automatic approval provision. What happens if the ATF claims they need more than 90 days for a particular application? What if they deny someone on day 89 to avoid the automatic approval? These issues will likely be litigated, and the outcomes will shape how the law actually works in practice. Here's your action plan based on the 2026 suppressor law changes. Action Step 1. If you've been considering buying a suppressor, now is the time. The process is faster and cheaper than it's ever been. Research which suppressor fits your needs, find a dealer, and start the paperwork. Action Step 2. Verify your state allows suppressor ownership. The federal law change doesn't matter if your state prohibits them. Check your state laws before buying. Action Step 3. If you already own suppressors, review the new interstate transport rules. You have more flexibility now to take your suppressors across state lines without prior approval. Action Step 4. If you had a suppressor application pending when the law changed, contact your dealer and verify it was transitioned to the new timeline. If it's been over 90 days total, it should have been approved. If not, there might be an issue that needs resolution. Action Step 5. Stay informed about further changes. The 2026 law might not be the final word on suppressor regulations. Watch for the Hearing Protection Act and state-level changes. Here's the bottom line. The 2026 federal law made suppressors significantly more accessible to American gun owners. The $200 tax stamp dropped to $50. The 12-month waits are now capped at 90 days with automatic approval. The CLEO notification is gone. Interstate transport is simplified. These changes don't deregulate suppressors entirely, but they remove most of the bureaucratic barriers that made the old system so frustrating. If you've been waiting years to buy a suppressor because of the hassle, that excuse no longer exists. but you still have to follow the law. Suppressors are still NFA items. You still need to register them. You still need to pass background checks. And state laws still apply, so if you're in a banned state, you're still out of luck, unless your state changes its laws. For gun owners in free states, the 2026 law represents a massive improvement in access to hearing protection. Suppressors protect your ears from permanent hearing damage. They reduce noise pollution for neighbors. They make shooting more pleasant and less intimidating for new shooters. And now they're finally easier to obtain legally. Look, I spend hours every week tracking federal firearms legislation, reading ATF guidance, and breaking down regulatory changes, so you know exactly how laws affect your gun rights. The least you can do is hit that subscribe button to make sure you never miss an update. Subscribe right now. Share this video with every gun owner you know who's been interested in suppressors but thought the process was too much hassle. The game just changed, and most people don't even know it yet. Remember, this is educational information about federal suppressor regulations as of 2026. It is not legal advice. Always check your state and local laws and consult with an attorney if you have specific legal questions. Stay informed, stay legal, and get ready to finally buy that suppressor you've been wanting for years. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one where we review the top suppressors to buy in 2026 under the new law.